one trick that Kamala Harris missed in her speech, it was not a bad speech at all. But one thing she didn't do, she didn't allude to the assassination attempt on Trump. And it's only been 9 days since someone tried to murder Donald Trump and actually shot him in the ear, killing him by a quarter of an inch. Would it not have been a smart move in between calling him, a sexual predator and a con man and a fake and blah, 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 very ad hominem stuff? Would it not have been a smart move in terms of unity had she just taken a moment to acknowledge the assassination attempt and say how pleased she was that he survived it? Something of that nature.
Piers, I find it so bizarre that the onus is always on the Democrats, it's always on the adults in the room to create unity. Where was everybody for the last 6 years calling for unity when Donald Trump was president? And, as far as the violence is concerned, I feel like any effort to try to pin, again, the onus on Democrats in terms of lowering the temperature in this country is just a testament to the fact that the Republicans are graded on the curve. Remember, it was not the Democrats, while we're talking about political violence, it wasn't the Democrats who laughed at Paul Pelosi being bludgeoned with a hammer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for military tribunals for Liz Cheney. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who laughed at a kidnapping plot against Gretchen Whitmer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for General Mark Milley to be executed. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who posted a baseball bat photo with Alvin Bragg and threatened death and destruction if he was charged. So in all of these examples, Piers, it is not the Democrats who've done this. It's not the Democrats who've validated the use of political violence as a tool in this country. And it shouldn't be on the Democrats all of a sudden to be the adults in the room.
All right, Brian, to a point, Lord Copper, as we would say in the UK, right? It is the Democrats who for 8 years have screamed that he's Adolf Hitler. That's fairly violent rhetoric. You're comparing him directly to an absolute genocidal maniac who murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. So when you do that, that is violent rhetoric.
Piers, if Donald Trump acts like a fascist, it is not the Democrats' fault for calling him a fascist.
You're saying he is?
That is his behavior.
He is Hitler?
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying he does act like a fascist. He does want to consolidate power in the executive branch. He does want to send the military into American cities. He does want to terminate the Constitution.
So you have no problem comparing him to Adolf Hitler?
I am calling him a fascist. That's what I'm doing.
That was me on Piers Morgan's show, where I took on him and Tommy Lahren on this tired right-wing talking point that suddenly the onus is on Kamala and the Democrats to call for unity in the aftermath of Trump's shooting. First of all, as I mentioned in the clip, if you want to see the media's bias against Democrats on full display, look no further than how this particular issue is being litigated, where the guy who has spent the better part of a decade fomenting violence is finally on the receiving end of it at the hands of a registered Republican, no less, and yet suddenly it's the Democrats' fault for not lowering the temperature in this country. No calls to lower the temperature when Trump told his rallygoers to beat up protesters and that he would pay their legal bills. No calls to lower the temperature when Trump posted a picture of Joe Biden hogtied in the bed of a truck, or when Trump said that the Second Amendment people could act against Hillary Clinton, or when he incited an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and then predicated his re-election campaign on freeing those insurrectionists who tried to assassinate Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. But the second this instigator of violence is the victim of violence, the media wants to blame the people who have been decrying violence for years. The reason we are working so hard to defeat Donald Trump is precisely because we don't want to validate the use of violence as a political tool, and that is the only tool that Donald Trump knows how to wield. And of course, the natural conclusion of me telling that to Piers is him telling me that calling Trump a fascist is indeed inflammatory, and so what did we expect? Here's the thing. If Trump is going to act like a fascist, then we are justified in calling him a fascist. That's not an attack, and certainly not unjustified, it's just reality. It was Trump who said that he wants to be a dictator for a day, who said that he wants to terminate the Constitution, who said that he wants to use the military to invade American cities, who said he wants to deport millions of people, who said he wants to consolidate power for the executive branch. That is fascist behavior. If Trump doesn't want to be called a fascist, then he shouldn't act like a fascist. And of course, Piers immediately jumps to, so you think Trump is Hitler? No, but that's not the bar for fascism. You don't have to only incite a Holocaust to be a fascist. And if he's trying to claim that to be called a fascist, you have to be as bad as Hitler, that's basically giving a free pass to anyone who is a fascist, so long as they don't also execute 6 million Jews. Hitler is a fascist, but all fascists aren't Hitler, so let's not get that confused. With all of that said, it was bizarre to be defending this idea of calling Trump Hitler when I've never done any such thing, but you know who has? Trump's own VP pick, JD Vance.
He wrote to one former roommate about Trump, quote, "I go back and forth between thinking Trump is a cynical a-hole like Nixon or that he's America's Hitler. How's that for discouraging?" End quote.
So if you want to question anyone about calling Trump Hitler, there certainly is one guy, and he's sharing the ticket with Donald Trump right now. And finally, as for Kamala calling for unity, I get that it's easy, and in fact encouraged, for the media to immediately start blaming the left for problems caused and encouraged by the right, but Kamala herself did speak out on this exact issue, and she absolutely did not mince words.
But here's the thing. If you claim to stand for unity, you need to do more than just use the word. You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are pushing an agenda that deprives whole groups of Americans of basic freedoms, opportunity, and dignity. You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are intent on taking reproductive freedoms from the people of America and the women of America. Trying to ban abortion nationwide as they do and restrict access to IVF and contraception as their plan calls for. You cannot claim to be for unity if you try to overturn a free and fair election and threaten to terminate the United States Constitution. And you cannot claim to be for unity when your entire economic agenda is designed to prioritize billionaires and big corporations over the middle class. We're too busy watching what you're doing to hear what you're saying.
So again, it is beyond telling that the moment Republicans become the victims of the same exact brand of political violence that they've so gleefully wielded for years and years and years, the first thing they do is diffuse responsibility onto the left. The GOP claims to be the party of personal responsibility. They might consider actually taking some. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.